Hey everyone, Aria Labs here with a blog to watch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Ulysse Nardin Freak Vision. This is one of the newest members of the long-standing Freak family, which came out in, I think, 2001. And the Ulysse Nardin Freak was named as such because it was the first production watch to use silicon, or silicium as it's known in French. The Freak Vision is new for 2018, offers a radically different look, but maintains the sort of core character of a Freak, which in addition to having a lot of silicon, is the movement, or much of the movement, actually is the minute hand on the dial there. The Freak Vision has a redesigned case. Pretty much everything is unique about it as compared to the other Freak models, and it's also an automatic. Not just any automatic, but it has the grinder. So this is a complicated system to explain, and maybe I should undo the strap here in order to allow you a closer look at what the grinder is. Now, the grinder works like pretty much all automatic movements in the sense that as you wear it, the motion of your wrist winds the mainspring. But rather than having a oscillating mass, well, it does have an oscillating mass, but it works a little bit differently here. Basically, any little movement causes it to wind. So it uses some large silicon parts there. And again, we have a video on how it works. But the idea is these small little micro movements are winding the movement, whereas more significant movements would be required with a traditional oscillating mass. So it does have a rotor in the same sense that a traditional automatic watch would, but you can say that it has greater winding efficiency. Of course, you can still manually wind it, and I do so by turning the case back here like such. So this is me manually winding the Freak Vision, and that's how most Freak watches are wound. The case is 45 millimeters wide in platinum and titanium. So the bezel here is going to be titanium, where the case middle is going to be platinum, except for this, this blue section on the side here. So let's take a look again at the dial. I remember when I was initially writing about this watch, I was wearing the watch upside down. It's actually quite hard to tell. And the way you know is by this little tab right here, and you lift up this tab, and that gives you the ability to change the time by turning the bezel. What's kind of interesting is these 3 points on the dial, these triangles, which give you a little bit of leverage so that you can turn the bezel, are actually never going to be in perfectly symmetrical position. It's going to depend on where the hour and minute hands are when you need to set the time. So these 3 triangles are just going to randomly be in whatever position you end up having them in based upon setting the time correctly. That's something you might love or might hate depending on your sensibilities and your taste, but I think it's sort of interesting how that works out on the watch like this. Silicon is really a major part of how the watch is designed, and you have silicon for the oscillating mass here, the balance wheel, if you will, and the balance spring is also silicon. Parts of the gear train are silicon, and in addition to having this carousel style system where the balance wheel moves around the dial each hour on the minute hand there, you also have a constant force escapement in there, which allows the watch to be more accurate over time. And I'm sort of trying to move the watch around here to show you different angles of what the watch looks like operating. It's really a beautiful timepiece. Reading the time is done via this hour hand here, which you can see appears as just an arrow. It's actually a moving disc, but the arrow is what you see. There's a track of hour markers around the periphery, and then of course the tip here of this large structure, which is essentially the gear train, is the minute hand. So reading it takes a moment to understand how it works, but when you do read the time, it's just as you would read the time on any traditional 12-hour watch. So there it is. I should put it on my wrist. I took it off. Not always the most simple thing in the world here with these deployant clasps. Sometimes I really wish these watches just had traditional, what they call tang buckles. And I don't want to make the mistake again where I wear the watch upside down. This matte blue alligator strap combined with the platinum, titanium, and the blue of the dial, it's really quite nice. It's definitely a hip-looking watch. As I said, it's 45 millimeters wide. which is definitely a prodigious size. And there's the clasp. And these clasps are funny. I mean, it's titanium here. It seems to add a lot of size. The reason they like these clasps, in addition to them looking more high-end, is that it preserves the strap because you're not constantly bending a strap. So if you had a tang buckle, as I just said I wanted, the strap would wear out a lot faster. So that's one of the sort of hidden reasons why people like having these deploying clasps. So there it is again, the Ulysses Nardin Freak Vision, new for 2018. I anticipate that some of the technology which is new in here, such as the grinder system and the constant force escapement, is going to find itself in future watches. And that's one of the things I always loved about the Freak collection, is it's very iterative in that innovations tend to carry over to subsequent models, which is a wonderful thing. And while these timepieces are definitely expensive, Freak watches are some of the most interesting high-end watches to collect. I have a lot more to say about this watch, which I will discuss in the review. I just want to finally say that even though this is a very modern design, what's really nice is if you look closely, especially at this structure which makes up the minute hand, you see elements of haute horlogerie. And what I mean by that is hand finishing. So even though this is a very futuristic design, you look at that structure and you see some of that hand polishing, and you're reminded that this is certainly a piece of high-end mechanical timekeeping from Switzerland, and all the decoration and craftsmanship that goes with it. Price for the Ulysses Nardin Freak is $95,000, and you can see the full review on A Blog to Watch. Thanks.